Okay, hello, welcome. My name is Rabbi Fine. I'm here with Azim Rafiq. Thank you very much for joining us. We're going to interview a little bit about the power of words and speech in general with the Clean Speech Project coming up soon in May, focusing on positive words, avoiding hurtful and negative words. And I think, Azim, you're a great person and ambassador for this entire topic. So for those people who may not know your full story or history, just want to briefly explain your background?
Yeah, thanks for inviting me to come on and be part of this project. A young kid from Pakistan, moved to the UK around 2001 with a dream to play cricket. Just a young guy, wanted to be the best I could be. Unfortunately, I went through some tough times at my workplace. A lot of abuse over a few years where it had a massive effect on me, which I didn't even realize at the time. And then in 2020, I spoke out about my experience. No one wanted to listen, but I carried on talking about it. Got to the select committee, which became big news. And then a few days later, messages that I'd posted on my Facebook, I think nearly 11 years ago, surfaced, which were anti-Semitic, which I deeply regret. I'm incredibly sorry about, and something I'm trying to find out why I might have made them comments, and educating myself to make sure that not only that I don't make them comments, but other people don't fall into the same comments.
Right, amazing. And that sense of perseverance is really important. Especially all the horrible things that you suffered, to be able to persevere and speak out is just so important. I mean, the topic of words in general, and sports and words, and everything a sports person says, an interview, and in the papers, it's so I'd say augmented, or it's so like kind of blown up as to what do they mean and how they're communicating, and what do you see the role of sports in general in terms of shaping society's views? Where do you see that going?
I think, look, we know sports it's a great way of uniting people when done in the right manner. Sport is a great way of kids meeting each other when in the right manner. And unfortunately, because of the power it has, if it's done in the wrong way, it can be quite damaging as well. I think the words, as humans, we don't quite realize, and I think we're all guilty of this, is how the same word can affect different people differently. To be honest, I'm not interested in the context of words. Negative words can leave big trauma on individuals, on people, and it's really important that we talk about nice words, we talk about clean speech, and we talk about how that the positive language, what sort of positive effect not only can we have on sport, society, but more importantly on humans. We're all humans. We're all the same.
100%, beautifully said. Where do you feel social media fits into this? I mean, social media obviously is a massive vehicle for sharing things, but there's a certain amount of anonymity there, isn't it? That anyone can post anything, and you don't need to think. The gap between thinking and speaking is short enough, but thinking and typing seems to be, unfortunately, even shorter. Where do you see social media in terms of its role of governing speech, but also allowing people to say things they wouldn't necessarily say to people?
Yeah, look, I mean, social media, it's two-pronged, isn't it? Like, there's a good parts to social media. If it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't have been able to keep persevering and in the end be heard. But at the same time, social media can be quite toxic. I think we, again, as humans, I think we forget that there's a human on the other side. Mm-hmm. And it's really important that we practice that social media is actually can be quite hurtful if done in a negative way. And it's important that I think right from the leadership, government at the top, tries to get social media into a place where you can't just anonymously say whatever you want without any consequences.
100%. I mean, that's part of why it's so difficult. On the one hand, yes, we want strong governance. People shouldn't be able to bully others on social media or say things that are totally wrong. But on the other hand, there's an amount of personal responsibility. People can't be policed to say nice things. There's a certain, you want it to come from society, and you don't want a society that says bad things about other people, but you can't force that. It's a really difficult thing, isn't it?
Well, it's a fine balance. Look, we're looking for change, and that means everywhere, but that's going to take time. But it's important that we help each other. It's really important that we don't just point fingers at each other. It's important that we all unite, and it's a very delicate, fine balance with this space, and that's why I think we've never had an answer to it in the past, because no one's wanted to actually deal with it with love, deal with it with a lot of compassion. And I think once we start doing that, and it's a fine balance, we've got to keep an eye on things and keep calling it out, but it's at the same time paramount that we show a lot of love and compassion when there's an intention to actually change.
100%. And what do you say to those who are using hurtful speech or hateful speech? And what's the message? What do you think they need to hear?
Sorry, I didn't hear that part.
Sorry. What do you think to those who are using hateful speech or hurtful speech? What do they need to hear? What's the message for them?
There's a human that could be massively affected by your words. There's humans on the other side who are struggling. There is basically, you wouldn't do it to your own mom and dad. You wouldn't do it to your own brothers and sisters. The effects are quite long lasting. Words can leave a lot longer effect than any physical. Let's just be kind to each other, and let's work together, so we can sit on the same table and have food together, learn about each other's lives, and through that, I think organically you end up respecting each other's lives.
Yeah, I think that's so important. I think words and respect are so entangled. That the words can break down barriers, but words can totally divide as well. And it's so important. Just if I can, one further question, if I can. I mean, look, thanks so much for your time. Totally appreciate it. Is in the coming months, how do you see speech being used to achieve clear goals? And it's quite an esoteric question, but if you could almost map out in the next few months, we want to see speech being used as, how would that look?
I think in the next few months, we need to hear a lot about love, a lot about forgiving. Obviously, I know there's a caveat. If there's an acceptance and a sorry, then a lot about forgiving, and a lot about working together. It's not a me against you. It's let's sit on the same table. Let's have some food together. You tell me about yourself. There's just that organic sort of spending time in each other's space, and I think organically that will create an environment where people can open up and not feel like they've been attacked.
100%. Yeah, I think it's so important. I think obviously anyone who's using hurtful speech, there's no justification at all. We're not seeking to do that. But there almost feels like, you tell if a kid is bullied at school, there's almost an insecurity that sometimes the bully has, like a lack of confidence about who they are and who their identity is. And I'm not saying all hurtful speech should be justified by saying, oh, there's an insecurity in the person who's the bully. But do you think there's a part of it that is people don't know who they are, don't have an identity, they don't feel good about themselves, and it's much easier, therefore, to put other people down than to kind of work on developing your own sense of self and actually sense of positive speech? Do you think there's a part of that, or that's way out?
I think, look, obviously everyone's got their own challenges. Everyone's got a lot of stresses and their own health that they are dealing with. And I think if we just get away from just thinking about ourselves and just start thinking about everyone together, then it can ease a lot of that burden, a lot of that pressure. We together, I think we can get away from hurtful speech and try and make people more aware of how even littlest comments can make a big difference.
Amazing. Look, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
You are a massive ambassador when it comes to speech. So clean speech, positive speech, avoiding negative speech. Really wonderful speaking to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks, buddy. Cheers. Thank you.